Today we're just going to discuss Chapter 8, Prior Knowledge Skills. In this lesson, we're going to learn about surface area and volume and just do a quick review. So if I look here, the first one we're going to discuss is the surface area of prisms. We have to remember that surface area is the sum of all the areas of the sides. So our surface area formula for a rectangular prism is 2 times the quantity width times height. Whoops, that's not supposed to pop up. Let's try that again. Plus length times width plus length times height. So if I go over here to the drawing, the 6 centimeters will be my length, 2 centimeters is my width, and the 3 centimeters is my height. So I have 2 times the quantity width times height. So 2 times 3 gives me 6. Plus length times which, 6 times 2 gives me 12. Plus length times height, which is 6 times 3 is 18. I go ahead and I complete within the parentheses first, so I add 6, 12, and 18. So I end up with 2 times 36 for a surface area of 72. You have to remember anything with area is in square units. So my final answer with the correct label would be 72 square centimeters. The next one we are going to look at is actually going to be switching to a volume of a rectangular prism. The volume, remember, is the amount of space inside our figure here. So the volume formula for a rectangular prism is much easier and simpler. It's length times width times height. So again, I'm going to label it as length times width times height. So this is 12 times 5 times 4, which gives me a total of 240. Since this is volume and not an area calculation, it is in cubic units. So this is in cubic feet. Cubic has an exponent of 3. Our next one, we're going to switch back to surface area. And remember, surface area again is the area of all of the sides added together. So we have to find the area of the base, which in this case is a square, and the area of each side and add it together. So you can use the simplified version of this formula so that you don't have to find the area of each side as side squared plus 2 times the side length of the base times the height of the pyramid. So if I look over here, here's the side length of the base. Here is the height of the pyramid. So this would be 8 squared plus 2 times the side length of 8 times the height of the pyramid at 12. That gives us a total of 256. Since it is surface area, again, remember that it's square units. So it's going to be meters squared or square meters. Go ahead and turn your page over. And now we're going to talk about circles, which you guys have been doing for quite a while. So this should be a very simple review, although I will show you 2 ways to write your answer depending on what the directions ask. One way to write your answer is in term of pi, and the other one is to write it if you estimate pi to be 3.14. So again, the area formula for a circle is pi times radius squared. So we'll write it in terms of pi first. So if I look here, I have to have the radius. Well, I have the diameter of 8. Radius is halfway, so my radius is equal to 4. So in terms of pi, pi always comes last, so I'm going to switch the formula around just a little bit because multiplication is commutative. So the radius is 4, so I'm going to use 4 squared times pi. 4 squared is 16. So my answer in terms of pi is 16 pi. We're talking about area again, so it's square units, so it's 16 pi square centimeters. Well, that doesn't really tell us a whole lot because we don't know an exact number there. So a lot of times we will use 3.14 for pi. So if I do that, this is the second method. So if it tells you to use 3.14 as pi, I replace pi with 3.14 times radius squared. Again, radius is 4 squared. 3.14 times 4 squared is 50.24, so 50 and 24 hundredths square centimeters. So if we're talking about accuracy, the pi units would be more accurate because we didn't round. But if we want to have it more useful where we can actually understand what it means, it's usually easier to read it when we use 3.14 as pi. We are now going to find the circumference. Circumference is the distance around the circle. So since it's just a distance around it, it is just going to be in plain units. So it's just going to be in centimeters as our final answer. Circumference then, the formula is pi times diameter. They already have diameter, so again in terms of pi, we always write pi second. So diameter times pi, 8 pi. Since it's circumference, it's just regular units because it's just the distance around. So our circumference in terms of pi is 8 pi centimeters. If the directions say to use 3.14 as pi, you replace pi with 3.14 times the diameter of 8, and that gives us 25 and 12 hundredths, and again in centimeters. So you have to be careful reading the directions to see which way they would like for you to write your final answer. The last portion of this review is what the nets of the different prisms and pyramids look like. Basically, that's like if you take a box and you flatten it out, what does it appear to be? So if you look here, the cube is given to you, the rectangular prism, triangular prism, and a square pyramid. If you notice, the square pyramid is a square because the base is square. Your assignment that goes with these notes is Skills Sheets 40 through 43.